Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you're located in the world. Wanted to go over the latest song that I put out on my YouTube channel. It is a song inspired by Omri Cohen, who used the Baltic Sea, the waves, as a clock, and I thought that was really cool, so I wanted to do something similar. So I got to thinking, and if you live in America, you'll know what Watergate is or was. If not, just look up Richard Nixon and Watergate. And what I did is I took some speeches from that testimony and used that as the clock. So let me go ahead and just play a few seconds of what it sounds like, the clock.
I understand, I believe, the burden of your testimony, the thrust of your testimony, but for the sake of clarity and understanding and organization of this record, tell me briefly, based on your personal knowledge, based on circumstantial evidence, or based even on hearsay, what the president knew and when he first knew it.
Okay, so that's what the clock sounds like, and what I did from there is I tuned it down to slow it down a little bit here. So I tuned it down to, I think it was like right about there, and the first voice I used was a pad. Turned it into a pad. It's I used Energy, which is a ring mod oscillator, and what I did there is first I ran it through a sample and hold. So the trigger for the sample and the hold is this slope detector. When it rises, it goes ahead and triggers that, and from there the output goes into this quantizer from JW, and it's in G minor. From there the quantized signal goes into here, and from there it goes into this wave shaper, and after the wave shaper goes, it goes into a texture synthesizer, which is I believe this is a clone of clouds, and from there it goes ahead and goes into some delay. And here's kind of what it sounds like. Okay, so that's the first sound, and then second sound is I used a DX7 from Arteria. Let me show you what that is first. So let's go into the DX7 here, and I started off with a preset and then tweaked it a bit. So it's a DX7, and what it sounds like, or sorry, what it went through first, it goes through a Turing machine to randomize some stuff. I synced it to the envelope follower here, which is also synced to this clock here. Or, I'm sorry, the sampler, which uses the clock. And from there, this is the same. It's just a different quantizer, and it's in G minor. And what it sounds like is this. Let's see here. So I'm going to keep that one going. And for voice 3, I used another voice. I used this out of Omnisphere, and this is the same thing here. This is a I'm using the same quantum here, which is which is a quantizer in G minor. The only thing I did differently this time is I inverted it. So I wanted it to invert whatever was playing. I wanted to invert the notes, and what I used here in Omnisphere is, well, maybe. I used a theremin, or not a real theremin, but a sampled theremin, and what it sounds like is this. So these two together kind of complemented each other, I thought. Okay, so those are those ones, and then we'll go to voice 4. So this is really what set the whole thing off. This voice here from Arteria, it's a, let me show you what the thing is itself. So it's called the CMI5, and basically what I believe it is Oh, Fairlight. It reminds me, I think it is a Fairlight. It's a Fairlight clone, I believe. And so I started off with this weird sound, and it just kind of went into the sci-fi thing. So let me show you what it sounds like. So I went ahead and just put that towards same thing here. Just the same trigger. I'm sorry, same scale. And it sounds like this. So it's just a sample, and it kind of does its own thing, so it's kind of cool. Alright, so that's that. And so the next voice is, I used a choir from Analog Lab, and the choir goes through another quantizer, same thing, and the choir sounds like this. Let me go ahead and get that going here. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit so everybody can see a little better. Let's go down here a bit. There we go. So it's just a nice little choir that does their thing and adds some niceness to it. Voice 6 is a Isaac Asimov, and it's not in here, so that's not going to work so well because it is not in there anymore. But that's where you get the voices from Isaac Asimov, and it bounced back and forth. I just need to reload the voice in here, and it should be good to go. Let me see. I don't think anything's happening on it. Let me double check. I don't think the sample's loaded anymore. Yep, we got absolutely nothing in there. Okay, so when you listen to the song, just know this is where the voice came from. It was an interview of his. I chopped it up and randomized it into a bunch of different slices, so he says something different every time. So voice 7 now is going to be the bass, and what I use for the bass is, let me go over here. I used another thing from Atmosphere. I used a lot of soft synths on this because I have a lot of soft synths, and what I used here for the bass is start off with this preset, and what it is sounds kind of like this. I tweaked it a bit. So the bass is kind of cool here. That's kind of fun. Yeah, so that's the bass. I mean, it's nothing spectacular, but you know, it's a bass. And the last thing I did was I used some noise, and how I use the noise is this is a random noise generator, and what I did is I ran it through a filter here and delay and some reverb. So this is what it sounds like. Kind of gives it a cool like sci-fi sound if I do it right. See here. And it'll switch here in a second. So it's just kind of randomizing, and I just kind of play with the faders, bringing it up and down. And the only other thing I did was, you'll notice here, I used an LFO, use that to help with the randomness of this thing. And I also used another LFO up here, which does some panning. And up top here, in order to play it, I used the fader, or used the MIDI map, and there's a Arteria keyboard over here that I went and mapped it to on the knob so I could control the faders. And for effects, I used EW spaces from Sounds Online, East West, and it's a cool reverb. And then for delay, I used a Mooger Fooger from Moog, or Moger Fooger, I forgot how they say it, but from Moog, and it was used as the delay. So the video beforehand has the whole song, and if you have any questions on how I did anything, let me know, and I'd be happy to answer. Thanks again. Take care.